All right, welcome everybody.
Did I
Good to have you all here. Let's kind of move in, get away from the Kelly Dean reception line. Good to have you here. Thanks you all for coming. Of course, we welcome you all to this speaker series. Sharing the value of the networking, and there's a lot of time to network afterwards, by the way. So if you don't have to get right back to work, please stick around. Pretty excited today. You know, we do 8 to 9 of these per year. 2 of them are called the Business Sports Luncheons. They started out years ago with people in sports, affiliated with sports, who got lessons in sports that they then took into business, or that would be useful to us as business owners. And going back, we've had speakers like Moshe Beckler, Tom Izzo, Kurt Gibson, John Smoltz. Just a tremendous group of people, and we're keeping with that tradition today. You really are. And I can tell by the crowd that's out there too, that a lot of you are here to see well. There is a QR code on the tent on your table. That gives you a digital version of today's program if you want it. The whole thing is taped. And also take a survey button at the bottom of the digital program takes you to the event survey, and we appreciate you doing that. That really helps us improve. So, you know, these things don't work for us. They're not able to come off without our sponsors, so I want to give due credit to them. Fly Lansing, the Capital Region International Airport, and I can't tell you how many times I've heard today, thank you for that breeze flight to Florida. I use it 6 times this winter. Fly Lansing, of course, Shaheen Chevrolet and Cadillac. Where I actually, okay, good, Jason's there, and I saw Ralph. Ralph, you still work, don't you? You don't quit. Deep Transportation, Kelly, thanks for being here today. I saw Courtney too, she came in. Scenair Corporation, I don't know if we got someone from Scenair or not, because I knew they had some stuff. Ian, come on in. He always likes to come late, so everybody sees him. Chris. You're right there, bud. Foster Swift Attorneys have always been a big backer. LAFQ. And today you brought, what, 2 busloads, Kelly Dean busloads? The Lansing Sports Commission and Julie Payson, I saw you here, so you're going to stand up and give us kind of an update on that. Thank you for your support of this series. PNC Bank. And Leslie, I saw you there. I saw Tom here, so we'll get a report on that. And WLNS Channel 6. So Ian, welcome. It's good to call you off the noon or whatever. Okay, so at this point, we're going to wind up doing a kind of a round table and catch up on a few things, and then we'll have everybody go get their lunch. Fly Lansing, Rob, you're here. What's going on besides the briefs?
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us on behalf of the hosting events. A couple updates for you. On the airline side, we wrapped up another successful year with Apple Vacations. I think that's our 15th year of international service here. So another great year. Breeze is doing well, as Chris mentioned. They wrapped up their Fort Myers service for the season. That's a seasonal service. Will start up again in November, but the Orlando flights will continue year round. United was supposed to start service to Chicago this month. A little disappointing news due to FAA or traffic control capacity issues. They're reducing the number of flights in Chicago for the summer. So that new service has been pushed back to October 25th. So a little disappointing, but they're still coming. We look forward to welcoming them back. They left after the pandemic, so we're looking forward to having that.
You know, I will say too, we're surrounded by some of your people there, that we have been pretty much unaffected by all that here. And even our TSA people worked all through that. So plaudits to the airport for keeping this functioning.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks for the community support. I know a lot of folks have stepped up and helped TSA with gas cards and luncheons and stuff like that. So keeping them going during the shutdown. So thanks for your support. One last item, we do plan a reconstruction project of our roadways. That'll start probably next month sometime. I don't have a good date for you yet, but we'll be reconstructing both Port Lansing and Capital City Boulevard. And keep an eye on our website for detours and information and schedules.
So we're gonna have to fly in and out of the airport to catch our flights?
Take one of those drone things that's on like that.
Good, appreciate it. Thanks, Rob, appreciate it. Shaheen, Chevrolet Cadillac, Jason?
Thank you, Chris. Happy to be here today. Excited to see Will. I haven't seen him since the last golf outing, so. But for us, there's a couple different things. Leasing is really starting to take a little traction right now. You can get some vehicles for under $400 a month, so that's working well for us right now. But also tires. But through the end of this month, it's buy 3, get your 4th one for $1. General Motors kicks in that extra one to make it super affordable if you're going to be traveling in the spring. And we're very fortunate to have Ralph with us today. He's going to be throwing out the first pitch of the Tiger game.
Oh, right.
On May 16th.
Yeah.
And
Ralph, are you working out? Because that's not an easy thing.
I keep telling him, he's like, he's going to throw some sort of hockey puck. Something that's what he's talking about. But that's Strikeout Cancer Day at Detroit. So everybody's gonna be dressed in pink, and McLaren's helping sponsor that, so hopefully he gets that ball across. Hopefully.
Awesome. Good job. All right, Dean Transportation. Kelly, is Courtney speaking or Kelly?
Courtney can speak.
We're actually gonna change it up this.
Oh.
We're gonna have Sarah Ring from Dean Trailways.
Oh, Sarah, how you doing?
I'm Sarah from Dean Trailways. Thanks to Shaheen for utilizing Dean Trailways for your upcoming first strike. So if anybody else gets to go throw a first pitch, call Dean Trailways. We'll take you down there. With diesel prices rising, keep us in mind for any of your company outings this summer, Christmas parties. I know it's a ways out, but planning starts soon. So think of us. And then we have the Special Olympics. We're part of the Special Olympics golf outing next month. So if anyone is looking to do a golf outing for a great cause, give us a call and we can get you the information to get a team signed up.
Awesome, good. I would take the bus just to be on the bus. See if Ralph throws a screwball. John from LiveQ.
Well, hello, everyone. LAFQ's been very involved in the community. We've been keeping our 99-cent overdraft promise. We've been doing not new anymore, it's been for about a year, called Express Loans. That's up to $2,000 into your bank account within 10 minutes. No credit pull on that. And in big exciting news, LAFQ started a foundation called the Stable Community Foundation. And in their first year of operations, they have won an innovation award from the Michigan Credit Union League. So that is a very, very big deal. That doesn't happen a lot. So yes, a round of applause. And our Chief Marketing Officer, Kelly Ellsworth Edgison, is the CEO of that. And she has done just an absolutely fantastic job putting our members' dollars into the community. And as many of you know, LAFQ, we're always in the community. We're looking for opportunities to give back.
Yeah.
When our communities do well, we do well.
Yeah.
That's kind of the credit union model. So.
You know, I have to say that of all the financial institutions I know, you guys are as vested in your customers and your community as any.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you.
really are. So congratulations on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, John. Julie, Sports Commission.
We outside, we out there.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Julie Pinkston with Hughes Lansing and the Lansing Sports Commission. Sorry, neighbors. I didn't know they were here. So I'm gonna build on what Sarah said. We are also, Melissa and I both were this morning out at Unity Day for Special Olympics at Michigan State. It is a prelude to next year them hosting the state games at Michigan State University. So it's been at Central Michigan for quite some time. We're really excited to have that event come here. And today, just a little sampling of it, the faces on everyone as they were greeted and cheered into the stadium was really exciting. So Special Olympics, we are all in and frozen from it today, but that's okay. Secondly, this week, the Sports Commission will be hosting the USA Archery's Collegiate Nationals. We'll have thousands of archers from around the country coming in to do target shooting at Hope Sports Complex. We hosted this last year. It was when that little mini tornado went through. We literally tore apart the course and our team put it all back together overnight. So they said, you did such a great job, you get to host that again. So we're hoping to get in a 4-year rotation with that event and keep bringing that back. So we've got a busy week at the sports commissions, why you get me and Melissa. But we're also happy that Joseph and Kara are here from the Boys and Girls Club with us today too. Thank you.
Yeah, well, listen, this is almost like hearing Morton do their next season. And the national stuff that you guys have brought here through the sports commission's been just overwhelming, really has. Used to be like a lot of local clubs had their playoffs or whatever. Now it's like we are known, so you put us on the map. Thank you. Leslie Batchelor from DNC. I saw Tom here, but a good idea not allowing him to speak.
Leslie Batchelor, PNC. I don't have a financial update, but I am speaking on behalf of Tim, who sends his greetings from Alaska, where he is bear hunting. And has been trapped for 3 days, trying to get to his final destination. So, Tim will be back either in 2 weeks or when he shoots a bear, whichever comes first. So, that's our update.
I would take a bear with me just to make sure I was out of there quickly. You know, it's interesting, I don't know if you know this about Tim, but Tim is a hunter and survivalist extraordinaire. He gets dropped in places with a Swiss Army knife for 7 days, and they come back on the helicopter and fetch him out. He's been alive every time. It's just incredible what he goes through, right? All right, so with that, get in line, get your lunch, and get back here. We'll resume in about 15 or 20 minutes. All right, so we're going to bring in a true professional to introduce today's speaker. And I noted in watching Will as he worked at the table, my dad once said to me, before you speak, go around and meet everybody, and they're less apt to throw vegetables. So, Will, you won't have that problem here. But in the meantime, let me bring up the head of sports at WLNS-TV6, Ian Kress.
Thank you, Chris. I do want to note, he told me noon, so I wasn't officially late. He just told me the wrong time, but no. Yeah, so our guest speaker tonight, many of you probably know him. Many more of you probably know his voice. Will Tieman, the play-by-play voice of the Michigan State men's basketball team, also the owner of Spartan Sports Network. I think he has one of the hardest jobs in the world, interviewing Tom Izzo after a game that may not go in the favor of Michigan State, because as someone who also gets to interview Tom Izzo, I do it the day after a lot of times, and I'm terrified. I know he's probably not in a great mood, and he gets to do it right after the game, so I'm sure emotions are high, I'm sure he's been yelled at, but be able to take that is a skill, and I'm sure he's going to share a lot more stories about just those interactions and everything else. So we'll bring up Will Tieman.
I could tell you all those stories, but when I heard this thing was being recorded, but what I'm going to talk to you today about, when Chris called me, he wanted to talk about business and what we do and how they equate, which is a little different than my normal spiel. But I can't get away without telling a couple Tom Izzo stories. And then we'll get into the meat of it. And so, playing off of what you talked about, you know, we all know Tom's intense, and we know after games you're wondering, what are we going to say? Well, during the COVID year, we were down 17 days, and we were not ready to go play basketball. But the Big Ten, in their wisdom, sent us on the road for 3 straight games with a team that could barely get up and down the floor. So the first game we played in that 3-game road swing was at Rutgers, and that year they were pretty good. So somehow at halftime, we're only down 4, which was a miracle. We lost by 30, okay? We usually don't lose by 30. And I'm looking at Matt Stinging and my partner like, what are we going to ask him? This is the greatest interview I've ever done with him. So we have him in queue, and he goes, I'm here, guys. Okay, then you go through your spiel to bring him on, and we're now being joined by Michigan State's head basketball coach, Tom Izzo, and he goes, Will, before you even ask me a question, I'm gonna tell you what the hell happened. He talks for 8 minutes, interview over. Thanks, Tom. Best one I ever did. So we've had some good ones there. But one of the fun ones we had, now that he's become a grandfather, and thank you very much for that, Matt, there has been a little bit of change in him. I've seen him go from mad to almost soupy when he sees his grandchildren. So before game this year, Rocky had one of the babies in a little stroller. We're in the lobby of the basketball office. And I literally got down on the knee, grabbed her hand and said, "Thank you so much. Because you put your grandfather in a great mood, and that's good for all of us." So it's been good. But hanging out with Tom, it really coincides with some of the good fortune I've had with people I've met. And there's a mission of what I'm going to talk about today, but to really understand how I got to where we're going to wind up, I got to take it back to the beginning a little bit. My goal was to be a high school teacher and a coach. That was my mission. That was it. That was the plan, and that's what I was going to do. Which obviously I got a little sidetracked. And so what happened, it began when I was 15. And in our high school, if you played football, you had to do something else. Well, I had a major knee issue, so I got a big cast, so I'm not going to be playing basketball or wrestling or anything. So our AD said, "Okay, well, you're a smart guy. You can add 2 and 2 and get 4. You will keep stats for our radio team in basketball." In those days, you had the play-by-play guy, and then the second guy was like an announcer guy. He just read commercials. And there's me. The play-by-play guy has the flu, and he was throwing up the whole game. At halftime, the announcer guy went hoarse, and I'm in. I'm in. What do we do? He goes, "You gotta do it." So for the next 2 quarters, I'm doing jump shots and I'm reading Amanda refrigerator commercials, and that was how it started. And the next day, the GM of the radio station called my mom and said, "Can we hire Will part-time?"
Wow.
And she goes, "He can't even drive yet." So that's kind of how it all began. And one of the things that has really helped was when I went down this path, I was lucky to be influenced by some leaders in our industry that took time to share and teach me. One of the key guys in my journey was Bill Rasmussen, who founded ESPN.
Yeah.
Our meeting proved to be invaluable to me because it helped shape my thinking. There was another guy named Jim Host who created the world I live in right now, as well as many of my friends. And then there was a third guy named Jim Seamiller, which nobody knows. But he was the best network salesperson I've ever met in my life, and he taught me how to market. So, did I ever teach? Did I ever use my education? Well, I worked for the Department of Labor for a while, and I worked with secondary systems in Ohio, trying to elevate students who were a little short on cash and get them into college with good union jobs. And then, as you go through it, the other thing I ran into, I taught 2 years at Columbia College in Chicago. I taught radio. And I asked all the students, whether freshmen or advanced, what's the most important thing to make great radio? And they all came up with wonderful answers. And we sounded like grease boards in those days. And I turned around my mark and I wrote one word. To make great radio, you need money. Without money, you can't do much of anything. And my first lesson on that, as this 15-year-old whiz kid calling basketball games, I had the great idea that, hey, what if we do a high school basketball tournament game? And so I went to that station manager and he said, "Well, if you can get a sponsor, we'll do it." Well, what the hell does that mean? Everybody wants here to this game. I need $100. You find me $100, you can do the game. Well, that was a lesson I never forgot. I went down to J&J Tire. That was in Hamilton, Ohio. That's where my dad bought his tires. And I said, "I need $100, and you get to be the title sponsor." I didn't even know what that meant. I was reading off a sheet of paper, and he said, "Okay." So I got to do a basketball game because we had money. We had a sponsor. And so at the end of the day, these are things you learn going through. But I had no intention of being an owner of anything. I had every intention of being the best broadcast guy I can be. But then there was this fellow named Dick Clark. And you're going, how does that have anything to do with you? Did I want to be the youngest teenager in America? No. Did I want to host American Bandstand? No. What I did want to do was do what he did. He went from being a pretty high-priced talent with visibility, and he created a company where he could do what he wanted to do. He could work on the projects he wanted to work on. He could work with the people he wanted to work with. And so that's what I wanted to do. He was my role model. And all these people that I've mentioned helped me along that way because there's a lot of things to learn when you're trying to go out on your own. To this day, when I left multimedia in Chicago, I was in my 30s, best job I've had to this day. You wonder, what the hell are you doing when your first year out on your own, you make $3,400? What? But I was single and stupid. It didn't make any difference. But what I learned was there are certain things you have to do to build a business. And one of the things you have to do is you have to be able to sustain because people want to see if you're going to be around. And so this is the framework. And I get a call. Here's how we got to East Lansing. I got a call from George Perlis. He said, somebody told me I should talk to you. Can you come visit with me? And at this stage, we're in Illinois. We have several schools. I'm doing games all over the country. So I come up and I talk to George. All I knew about East Lansing was every time I was here, it rained. That's what I knew about it. And I also felt that Michigan State was an undervalued athletic department. So we talked and he said, okay, I think we can do something here, but here's the first thing I would like you to do. Could you build a network where I can leave my office during basketball season and drive home and hear a game? And I'm like, well, where do you live? I live in East Lansing. So that tells you the position the radio network was in. They didn't even broadcast all the basketball games at that moment in time. So what we did, we had to make friends. You had to believe. You had to sell it. But to sell it, as you look at that first thing out there, you had to have substance. On my little line of there. By the way, that one picture of me, that was my 15-year-old self. Spinning country records. What? I didn't even know who Porter Wagner was. But at the end of it all, we had a message, and that was really simple. We're going to build a broadcast that nobody else has. And we're going to be innovative in what we do to the point where you want to be part of what we are.
Yeah.
That was our mission. That was our message. So we retooled what we did. And I will also tell you this. I'm going to talk about some of the innovations we pulled off. But I will also tell you, if Mark Hollis wasn't the athletic director, it would have never happened. Because I could walk into his office with crazy ideas and he wouldn't throw me out.
Yeah.
They didn't all work, but a lot of them did. So think about this. In 1995, we were the first Big Ten school to stream. We all stream now, but we were the first ones to do it. Nobody was putting a set in the north end zone for a football game to do their pregame and halftime. It was showbiz, but it also had substance to it. Nobody except one other organization in sports has ever created basically a stream/radio station where we put SSN 24/7 on the map. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week of Michigan State. Old games, morning programs, specials. And so, by the way, the only other one that's ever done that's the New England Patriots. And so our mission was to be innovative, to be special, and to be ahead of it. And now, I will also tell you this. We know when we came here who the leader in our universe was, and it was down the street. Well, I will tell you, in any meeting we ever had, I didn't care what they did. I was aware of what they did. Also, Central Michigan in those days had a really nice network in the MAC. Western had some stations. Eastern had a couple. I mean, our state is full of people gobbling up radio stations. But at the end of the day, our focus was simple. We have a plan. We're going to execute our plan. We will be aware of our environment and our surroundings, but we are not going to worry about what anybody else does. We will worry about what we do. And that is really what got us going. So how do you grow the brand? Well, I looked around the universe. What was everybody doing in our state? Well, they're carrying games. Well, good for them. We all do that. And we felt a third of the state we had no matter what we did. We thought Michigan had a third no matter what they did. And our mission was to claim the other third. We're going to get that third. And that's going to throw us over the top. So we also got a break because we had two new coaches that had to get the word out. Nick Saban and Tom Izzo. So we reinvented ourselves a little bit by reintroducing the coaches show. Okay, that was one more time we were statewide with our message. Especially with Izzo. He was good way back when, even then. So then you go, okay, what's important? What's important is to build support for Michigan State. And to build support for Michigan State, you have to understand what it is and why these games are important to whatever we're doing in the community. So we launched daily shows. We have one show called Inside the Huddle. It's just about stuff about Michigan State. There's another show daily. It's called the Michigan Sports Brief. It's about college sports in our state. We also had a half-hour show called This Week in College Football, all about the Big Ten. So as you look at what we were doing, we were building our brand, we were giving you a reason to care about us, but also the people we're playing and the people we're involved with. And so if it went right, depending on the basketball schedule, at minimum, you got a dose of us 6 days a week with something. Whether the game, a daily show, coach's show, we were everywhere. At our high point, we had over 50 radio affiliates. I think Michigan had 18. It was a royal ass kicking. And we were happy about it. And so, but at the end of the day, we had a plan and we developed it and we stuck to it. That's the other thing. You can't give up on a plan because you have a bad day. You have to hang with it. And so that was really important. Now, the other thing I learned from these gentlemen that I mentioned earlier, you have to know your strength and your weakness. For example, Ralph's here in the room. He knows about cars. He knows about strength and weaknesses. I bought a Tahoe from him. I bought a lot of new cars from him. I drive me 200,000 miles and I park them. But this one's still running. And I go, Ralph, what do you think? And he goes, well, they run until they don't. So, there you go. Strength. My car is good until it's not good. By the way, it's still good. So, when you are marketing, people, it's not as simple as, oh, I love Michigan State. This is high stakes. This is big dollars. And it isn't about your love of it. Can this property help build your business? Now, the good news for sports in general is that if you have it on the radio, people are paying attention, which means they're going to hear you're dropping a message, you're going to hear a commercial, whatever, because it is destination and people are listening. That's the good news. The weakness is, if you talk to a media person, we don't have frequency. On a Saturday, if you like being part of the big event, an MSU football game, we're a one-horse pony. We're on Saturday. We're in this day, Thursday, maybe Friday. We haven't hit Sunday yet, but it's early. They'll change our schedule again. And so how do you fight that? Well, you have to come with the goods. A guy that I've not mentioned, who I met in Chicago, who was just turned out to be a Michigan State grad, was a media genius. And so Mike Murphy's his name. So Mike got me with the people at Anheuser-Busch, who buy a lot of sports, and then Arbitron. And collectively, we worked out a formula where we could walk into you as a potential advertiser and tell you what our audience was. So we had two things we had to overcome. One was frequency, and the other was media efficiency. Well, this is all new stuff for me. But here's what we did. We walked in and said, this is the deal, and we hear all, well, you know, you're much more expensive than if I buy spots in Detroit. But we had the goods. Our cost per thousand, our cost per point was under every spot buy you can make in any major market. In those days, 10 were rated in our state, because we also knew the price of media. So when we walked in, it wasn't Will Tieman saying Michigan State's #1 in my basement. We're saying we're the best damn deal out there. And we backed it up. And then the other thing was the frequency part. Now, how do you overcome that? And that's where those daily shows came into play. Now we have stuff throughout the week. Now we have stuff that is away from the game. And so when we walked in, you may not like sports, you may not want to be part of Michigan State, but you are not going to say we're not media efficient, and you are not going to say we didn't have the frequency you need, because we sure have the sex appeal. And so these are things you learn when you walk in. And for me, I enjoy being able to not worry about budgets. I enjoy being able to have a dream and be able to pull it off. But I know if I don't generate some cash, I can't do it. So that was my motivation. And we kind of did it. In this other part, the club. Getting into the club. If you listen to me at all, you probably figure out I have a love for radio. And I do. I think it's the greatest medium going because it's the last medium that's intimate. It's me and you. If we're talking about an interview with Tom or a basketball game, I'm talking to you. I don't have 12 replays and 13 cameras to fall back on. And as this conversation continues over time, you decide whether you like this guy or not. You can't. You are what you are. You can't hide it. And there's something neat about that. There's something that has a romance to it that is contagious. And so when we're out and about, it was pretty easy. People say, well, maybe I'll just do this game, or maybe I'll just do that. No. You're either in the club or you're not. Personally, I can't imagine anybody that would not want to be in our club. There are a few twisted people, but not many. And so that was the message. You're not going to cherry pick us. You're going to be with us, or you're not going to be with us. And I'll walk. Which was kind of a ballsy thing to do when we showed up with no sponsorship. Like, oh man, I should take every dime we can get. But you have to have self-respect for your product, but you also have to command respect from outside of your inner circle. And if you don't believe it's special, nobody else is. And that was our message with radio stations, with advertisers, anybody involved with us. And we sold that because we think our club is special and we can do good things for you. And I'm going to tell you a real life story. I won't mention the client, but they had been with Michigan State for a while. They bought some radio, they bought some signs. And the head of the media department of that agency did not like Michigan State. Didn't like him. Just didn't like us. And so when it was time for the radio renewal, he didn't even submit it to the client. So our guy said, hey, we're going down to that agency, and that client's going to be there because we're going to talk about some signs. You're still doing that. Do you want to join us? Well, I will tell you, when it comes to burning a bridge, I don't take a second base to anybody because I'm going to fry this guy right in front of his client. So what I do, all these things we talked about, all this media stuff, I said, by the way, here's what you guys passed on. And I showed them all the efficiencies and the price they were paying, which was lower than anybody else because we grandfathered them in, which was the right thing to do. And I said, this same agency has another client, and he just paid that much money, which is double what we were going to charge you. And he said that was okay. Well, I know one thing for sure. I'm never going to deal with this guy again. But it got better. It got better. So now there's another meeting in a big conference room, and it involved multiple clients. And I'm only there now because my right back is with the guys I came with. So I got nowhere to go. I'm just sitting there. And this lady with this major company said, well, Will, don't you have anything? I go, no. Oh, I got one thing. And I just had a picture of what our app was going to look like. Nobody even knew what an app was then. And she goes, well, what's it do? And I said, well, here's what it's going to do. She goes, well, we got to be part of that. I said, no, you can't be. But why? Because you're not in the club. Only people in the club can be part of this. She looked at that poor guy and said, Roger, get our ass in the club. And believe it or not, we actually became friends later on down the line. And so we're building a little roadmap here, which I think really pertains about any business. You got a product, you believe in it, you market it, it's going to help people, and you kind of know how to go about your business. But there's another thing, and this is really big. It's up here it's called the price of admission. So everybody likes to hear fun time those stories. Trust me, I got a bunch of them. But here's something that I learned from him in the 30-some years I've hung out with him. The price of admission. When you walk into the men's basketball office, I don't care what your role is. You know it's an honor to be there. And you know if you don't give it your best effort, you don't belong. And he's never once said to me, try harder. It's called me a dumbass a couple times, but that didn't count. Yeah. But I think about that. Everybody that's in that building knows it's an honor to be there. And to earn that honor, you have to earn your way. And you earn your way with the talent you have, but more than that, the effort you bring to the table, because we all have bad days. How one person can instill that without saying a single word is an amazing ability. That far exceeds, in my mind, teaching a guy how to make a jump shot. And so, in all of our businesses, if we can get people to think about the price of admission, how honored I am to be here, how I'm going to go out there and talk about what we're about, it's almost impossible to stop an effort like that. And so, I never dreamed about owning anything. I just wanted to, once I finally decided I wasn't going to teach, I just wanted to be able to be the best broadcaster I can be. And so I still try to be the best broadcaster I can be. But because circumstance had to learn these other things, it just made it better for me. I had the freedom I wanted. We could be creative. We could take risk. And I was with a bunch of crazy people that bought on. So at the end of the day, I think these are the staples that make businesses work. And I don't care what your product is. And so I spared you some jokes. I haven't talked about why we don't make a free throw sometimes, because it's not important. And I really appreciate being able to talk about this, because there's so much that goes into this. But at the end of the day, as I went down this list, when we came up with crazy ideas, people at Michigan State said, okay, let's try it. Because we weren't afraid to try things. And it worked. And then Mark D'Antonio wasn't bad to hang out with. This Dan, Izzo isn't bad. So we had some good things going for us. But at the end of the day, people care. They really care. And they know they get our best effort. So anyway, That is my spiel, and I'm sticking to it.
So we're gonna do a little Q&A, and I know there'll be questions. Nothing embarrassing, please. All right? So, anybody have a question? So I will start by saying I really appreciate the business message. And that is that nothing exists without money.
Yes.
And sometimes you have to reiterate that to folks, but if you don't have the revenue, the rest of it's pretty irrelevant, you know? Okay, Wanda, good.
Yeah, I had a question. When you come up with a line or a zinger that you have on live radio, when do you know that's gold? Do you know it, or is it come to you after?
You know,
You mean like, he got it, like that?
it's interesting. Sometimes you don't remember everything you've said, except sometimes when you say something really stupid, you know it. But the he got it thing. The answer to your question, no. Because I did it a couple times and it's kind of fit. It wasn't something like I planned. And so one day, I'm at the grocery store and I'm coming around aisle 4 and I'm picking some stuff up. And some guy screamed at me. He got it, scared the hell out of me. I almost dropped all my stuff. And I came home and I said, I gotta quit doing that. They're making fun of me. And Wendy goes, "You're an idiot. That's one of the best things you do." And so the answer to the question is no. But sometimes, though, you do know this. You do know when you've captured the moment. And one of the things that's really important to know, when you, like in our case, we have 3 people on our basketball broadcast team. We all have a job. We all have our little real estate. So it's important. I know what Matt's going to do. I know what Zach's going to do. It's important that I just worry about what I'm supposed to do. So, and Matt and I have been together so long now. When we hit a magic moment, I know how to set him up. And in one game, he got so excited he screamed, "He got it! Get off my real estate! You can't go there! Come on!"
That's so funny. I would ask you this, and it's not a matter of timeline, because I'm not saying, are you thinking about it today, is tomorrow your retirement? But the old saying is, the day you start your business, you should start planning your succession. Do you give that any thought?
Hell no.
Okay, all right, good.
So,
Wendy, do you have anything to add?
So, the good news is I don't have to dig a ditch. Yeah. I just have to be able to think and talk and do my due diligence. But it's really interesting when you talk about when is it time to be done? I mean, we also own a couple radio stations, so we have multiple things going on. But the plan in that world is simple, Chris. Nobody has to tell you when it's time to go. You know it. You know when you're slow. You know when you're not quite on top of it. And that's when it'll be time. And we kind of judge it every year. And I did drop in to see Tom the other day because I got the short straw. And I had to have him sign a basketball, which is the worst thing in the world for me to do. I don't want to be that guy. Tom, will you sign my basketball? And he said, "How much longer are you going to do this stuff?" "I don't know. How much longer are you going to do this stuff?" So that's kind of where we are. But in terms of the announcing plan, I mean, our radio network with the Michigan Association of Broadcasters has been the most honored network for 15 years running. We have what I call our Oscars. We had 6 categories on the network side we entered. Anywhere from basketball play-by-play to digital. We don't sweep every year. This year we won every category we entered, every one. And that tells you that we're still, I think, doing okay. And there's still a drive. But to answer your question, when you start to slip, or even maybe more important than that, when you lose your love for it, then you got to stop. But I will tell you, on my worst day, I've never felt bad about going to a game to do a game. I can't imagine being anywhere else. Sure.
That's important.
So first, sir, let me thank you just as a proud Spartan. You put the P in professional when it comes to really speaking the voice of what it means for those folks who are driving around the state on game day. They can't watch it, they can't be in the stadium. So just thanks for doing what you do. You've been like just a consistent presence on Spartan Nation. So thanks for just being you. That's amazing. Here comes the question. So you've had to meet a lot of really pivotal moments with grace and with dignity, and helped coaches and players work through those moments so you can have a genuine conversation with them after a tough loss, or as you tried to really help them work through their own emotions, and how they do that with just your talents is amazing. Can you talk to us about one of maybe some of the more challenging moments you've had to help these players and these coaches navigate, and how you do that so well?
Well, thanks for the nice words. That is a really fine line. Because as a broadcast guy, you're not a coach, right? The coaches have the people they talk to. But there's always a moment. It was never my intention to becoming the oldest guy on the broadcast team. It just wasn't. But what's happened in time, to answer your question, as you get a little bit older and the trust grows, as you talk to coaches, not only our guys, but other guys that you've gotten to know, or players, there's a trust there. They know that whatever you talk about stays where it is. They also know whatever's being said is sincere. And that is one of the things that I've enjoyed most about advancing the career a little bit, is the ability to be able to sit down and have these kind of conversations. Has Tom Izzo spent a lot of time asking me my opinion? No, but I sure have listened a lot. And at the end of the day, it's just, I just value that, and I would never betray that. And the interesting thing is with the players, what do you say? Because they look at you like, do I talk to you? What's the deal? And so when they come up and ask me something, like they're my son, that's neat. But I'll share with you a conversation I have with Stephen Izzo that I'll never forget. We're on a bus together, going somewhere. He's still on the team. And Stephen said, hey, do you think it's wrong I want to hang out with my dad? What? I said, well, what would be wrong with that? Who wouldn't want to hang out with your dad? I mean, my family owned movie theaters, which meant I didn't see my dad a lot because he worked at nights. So if somebody asked me, is it wrong to want to hang out with your dad? What idiot would ask you that? And so the fact that he was comfortable enough to ask me that question made me feel good. And I told him, if anybody tells you hanging out with your dad's a bad thing, then don't talk to those people anymore, because they're nuts. There's not a day going that I would like to hang out with my dad. So anyway, so that's kind of a long answer to the question.
All right, so final question, and then I'm going to impose on you to run an auction.
And it's a good one, by the way. Don't go.
Yeah, stay here. Put your hand on your cash. No, I was talking to Ian about this earlier, and that is, you alluded to two new coaches coming in with Saban and Izzo. You've got a new football coach coming in now. Have you had interaction, and how do you start cementing that relationship?
You know, it's interesting. When Pat came in, we're in the middle of basketball season. And what I really try to do is not get in anybody's way. Because I know he had a mission, people he had to talk to. I know him more from his Northwestern days than I do from his Michigan State days. And so at some point, hope to get to chat with him a little bit. But at the end of it, and you have to know this, Jonathan Smith was one of the greatest, kindest people I ever met. Good guy. Circumstances didn't quite work. Maybe the fit wasn't right. Maybe he wasn't delivered. Maybe we didn't deliver on all the promises we made him. But he's one of the finest people I've ever met. I think Pat's probably a better fit. He's never had this kind of resources to work with. We've all seen him do a lot with nothing. And I just think at the end of the day, it's going to be really good. I think people will be pleased with what happens. And then I think the next thing is, as we work our way back to 7, 8, 9 wins a year, are we able to take that next step? We expect it in hockey now. We expect it in men's basketball that we can take the next step. I personally believe with him at the helm, we can do that in football. And the one thing I'll never forget, and we knew Mark D'Antonio when he was an assistant coach. And I'm from Cincinnati, so I know how awful that job was, and he turned that one around. But when he said to everybody in his opening press conference, why not us? Okay, why not us? Why can't we be in the college football playoffs? Why can't we win a national title? I had a dream Indiana won one, so why not us? It's all possible. And so, but it's only possible if you have the right people at the helm, and I think we've got that now. I think we have the right president, the right AD, and the right head coaches in the right spots. And so when we were rolling big with D'Antonio and Hollis and Tom, everybody was together, we were rolling. I feel that is in place now. And when you have top to bottom on the same page, working together with skill, then I think you got a chance. And now everybody else is trying to do the same thing. But at the end of the day, why not us? Why can't we get there? We've been there, and I think with Pat, we'll get back to it.
Well, I have to tell you, thanks so much, Will. All right, Will, explain what you're doing here, because you're pretty benevolent, John.
I don't know if you guys know a fellow by the name of Mark Breeze. I met Mark when he owned Atwater Brewery, sold to Miller, and just for fun, he was bored, he bought the Lansing Brewing Company. And for over a couple of years, Matt's, he's a Spartan, and so he said, he knows I like a good bourbon. And he knows we have an affinity for the managers on the men's side. These are special people. And Wendy and I established a fund for them. And by the way, I have not done this yet. Wendy Hart over here is a member of the MAB Hall of Fame. She's produced Spartan football for over 30 years and has basically run this radio network. And she was the first female in the history of the Big Ten to have a real management job. Not an assistant to somebody, not somebody who went and got coffee. She was in charge. And if you don't think she's in charge, just go to our football booth and you'll know who's in charge. So let's hear from Wendy Hart.
Yeah. I want to say, I'm in awe of your marriage, that she's in charge and you're still married.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, yeah, we are married and we worked together first. I begged her for a date and she didn't say yes right away. What is wrong with her? I don't know. But one day I screwed something up in our pregame show. And she got on me pretty good. And the whole booth got quiet like, what is he going to say? Is she allowed to do that? Well, the answer is she was right, and she's the boss, and I paid attention. And everybody can take a deep breath after that. But can I tell one story?
Yes.
Okay, how tall are you? 5'1". Okay, 5'3". She's 5'3". And there was a guy, our first sideline guy was Monty Clark. Monty Clark was an offensive lineman in the National Football League. He was a coach here for a while, he coached in the NFL. This is a mammoth guy. He is really big. And so he is really mad at her because he wants to be on the air more. So he comes up in the booth after the game. She's putting her stuff away. I'm sort of standing in the corner. He goes, I got to talk to you because you don't put me on the air enough. And he's going through his, but she didn't say a word. All she does is turn around and say, Monty, when you have something worth saying, I'll put you on. I never saw a 6'8" guy shrink so fast in my life. Wow. And those two became best buddies. So she has a way about it. So back to the managers. Mark said, why don't we do he got a whiskey and we'll sell it and raise money for your manager fund. That was 2 years ago. He said, I got the formula. You'll like this stuff. And lo and behold, we are now bottling He Got a Whiskey. And by the way, it says right here, damn good. See? Damn good. And the deal is, it costs about $40 to do the bottling, the label and all that. We sell it for $60, and the $20 goes to the manager's fund. And so it's really going fast. We got more coming. And I said to Chris, can I auction one off? Because it'll make you feel better. Make you feel good about yourself. And if you've ever been around our managers on the men's side, these guys just don't carry towels. They're smart. They go on to have great careers in various fields. What they do to help us prepare for games with their video editing, I mean, this is a special group of people, and they deserve to be supported. So, I'm not an auctioneer, but I brought one bottle to auction off.
$70.
Okay, $70. I got 70.
See, you are an auctioneer.
There you go. Do I have any more than 70? I'll sign it, by the way.
I knew he wouldn't let me have it. Will, thanks again. I truly appreciate it. Yeah, and Ian, thank you for showing up. I know what your schedule is like too. Okay, with that, I did want to say once again that these things don't happen without our sponsors. I want to give one final thank you today. Fly Lansing, Capital Region International Airport, Shaheen Chevrolet, Cadillac, and Bourbon Outlet, Dean Transportation, Sinair, Foster Swift Attorneys, LAFQ, the Sports Commission of Lansing, and PNC Bank with WLNS as our media sponsor. And I want to thank my team too, by the way, because Will talked about teams and how important they are. And if you don't have the right people in the right spot doing what they do the best they can, you falter. So Sarah Mosher, Benjamin Robinson, Caitlin Mosher, Jimmy Green, Melody Baker, and Jeffrey Mosher. I want to thank you all. That's the MBN Speaker Series and for the job that staff does for us here today. Next event is going to be a webinar featuring the mid-year 2026 economic forecast. We always do the summer one as a webinar, and the debut of the results of the 41st Michigan Future Business Index will be given on that. We'll also have some regional places reporting on their economic circumstance from around the state. Others on the horizon, other speakers, Nolan Finley. Anybody know Nolan Finley? He's the editor at the Free Press. He wrote a book in conjunction with another guy at the News that spoke to civility in politics and civility on the street. He's going to be here talking about that. Todd McCracken, who we have in annually, Executive Director of the National Small Business Association, so we will bring him in from DC. Okay, with that in mind, I want to thank you all for being here. Once again, don't forget, quick survey, use that QR code that's on your, don't forget your vouchers for parking. Because if you get out there and you remember that you forgot them, it's too late at that point. Meanwhile, we built a little more networking time, and if you have to stick around, thank you all so very much for being here. And as always, have a prosperous month.